Come on. Okay. I just need to figure out the share thing. I don't know if I'm signed in here. Yep, I am. Why is it not sharing? Come on. Okay. Well, let's see if this works. Please. Hmm. Nope. Right, they're saying they can't click the link. I'll tell you what, I always have trouble with this.
You're good.
It's got so many things. Nope, not working.
Do you have many people?
Oh, you're in? Okay, so it is working.
Yay.
Okay. Sorry. Some reason I can't seem to get the all right. Hopefully we're good. I'm just gonna all right. Okay, guys, let me know if you can see this. I am having trouble seeing the chat for some reason. I might just try logging out and logging in and see if I can get it to come up here. Okay, good. Phew. All right, I'm going to just close that one and open this one. And if you can see this, sorry, I'll just mute that. All right, so here we are. It's always harder when there's two people. It makes it tricky with the YouTube doesn't like two people at once. All right, this is Cathy. Yay!
Hello.
Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Lovely, Cathy.
How is everyone? I hope everyone is doing well.
Can you give everyone a little bit of a background on what you do, Cathy, before, like an intro?
For sure. Thank you. So Cathy Carr, I'm a holistic nutrition, lifestyle and movement coach. So what I do in my work is I look at the individual as a whole. So we have a lot of comprehensive paperwork. So I look at the person to see and identify what physiological load they might be under, and then write a nutritional plan, lifestyle factors. We go into stresses, which I'll be covering a little bit tonight, and then designing a work out or work in program. So I work with women in midlife and pre and postnatal, yoga practitioner as well, and an Eldoa teacher. So Eldoa is all about improving posture. So corrective exercise, looking at the whole individual, the individual as a whole, pretty much like you and Elise do, really.
Yes, the exercise side of things.
Yes, yes. So tonight, do you want me to just go ahead?
Go ahead, yeah. I'll actually I'll get out of here so that they can just see you. They don't need to see me. keep going.
Like seeing you. We like seeing you.
Yeah.
Okay, so tonight or today, if you're watching the replay, I'm talking about the art of working in or slowing down versus working out. So a lot of the time you will hear that we've got to work out, we've got to exercise, we've got to move, we've got to work hard, if your goals are weight loss or even just to move, really. So exercise is really to take out. If you think of exercise, it comes from the word as exorcism. It's to kind of cut out. So when we work out, we're moving energy out of the body. So we're spending energy. So if you have a bank account and you go to pay something and there's nothing in the bank account, you're at a deficit, right? So kind of the same thing applies for our energy when we should work out or work in. I always say we need to work in before we work out, because when we're energy depleted and we go to work out, whether that's in the gym or you go and play a hard game of tennis or climb a mountain or whatever, because you're energy depleted already, by adding more physical stress, because physical activity is a stress, it's a good stress, but when we're overloaded, then that can bring in more dysfunction in the body. It can bring in infections, parasite infections, diseases, gut dysfunction. So when we work in, we want to shift that autonomic nervous system. So I'm assuming here that you're familiar with the two branches of the autonomic nervous system is the sympathetic and parasympathetic state. So when we're in that sympathetic state, we're in a perceived threat response. So we might be in actual threat or we might be in a perceived threat. So we're in that fight or flight, or we can be in a freeze state. And this disrupts when we're constantly in this state, and it can be from any amount of stress, whether that be from our food or our psychic stress, if we've had a confrontation or argument with someone, all of these stresses can load up. So if we're constantly in that fight or flight state, we're not able to digest our food, we're not able to absorb our nutrients, and we're not able to allow the detoxification pathways to work as well. So we may find it trouble to eliminate having a bowel movement. So when we work in, the idea is to shift us into that sympathetic state, parasympathetic state, beg your pardon, it's late, it's been a big day. We want to be in that parasympathetic state because that's that state where we rest and digest. So working in can be done after a meal, because it's actually going to aid in the digestion. It's actually going to bring nutrition through the body. So when we're working in, we're breathing all the time, but we're focusing on the breath and we're slowing the breath down as well. So we don't want to elevate our respiration, our heart rate, or our temperature, because when we do, that shifts us into the kind of fight or flight response. So working in exercises when you are feeling stressed, when you're feeling sick, if you have an illness or a disease, if there is a dysfunction, always work in. So it's really slowing down and calming the system. I remember at one of the retreats that the Well Belly Health hold, I remember doing a lot of the Tai Chi and the working in there, and people were so not overwhelmed, amazed at how fast that they travel through life. And I think we're just so fast. We're always busy. I think we can beat ourselves up if we don't go and do a workout or I didn't get time. We can just work in, and it can be 5 or 10 minutes out of your day. By working in, we can balance the hormones as well. So we're creating a pump. When we're breathing, we're pumping the system. So when we do an exercise, so if we do like a bicep curl, the blood is going to the muscles, not necessarily to the organs, okay? So it can be taken away. So when we're pumping the body in a slow movement, it has far more benefit. So we want to return back more to like a yin state. So we're yin and yang, if you're familiar with that. It's the black and white, it's the hot, it's the cold, it's catabolic, it's anabolic, it's working out, it's working in, it's water, it's fire. So we want to get more into a water energy. That is the yin, because a lot of us are running hot. Yeah. We're hot women, right? Hot men and women. But particularly if you're moving into perimenopause and menopause, when the heat is, starting to increase a little bit. So we want to tame the fire. We want to put out the fire and create more balance, more homeostasis, and bring us back so we can digest the beautiful foods that you're cooking, and we can absorb the nutrients and then properly eliminate. So,
does anyone have any questions about any of that? Just type your questions in the chat boxes.
Yeah, so while they're typing those questions, so it's really we're cultivating energy. So when you go for a workout or when you exercise, you're depleting energy. So like I said in the beginning, when you're already depleted, going to do a workout, whilst you may feel that you need to do a workout or you need to move, or you might be stressed. I know some people get really stressed and they need to go to the gym and maybe do a boxing class, which is going to increase your cortisol, particularly if you're working out at night. So if we're continuing expending and not bringing it in and cultivating energy, our symptoms will get worse over time. So I love working in. I know that I introduced a few of the working in practices to Joe, to every client, basically, just because we all can get busy. We all can have a long day or a stressful day or any circumstances or situation in our life. So just to pump the body, think of it as movement rather than a workout. And you can do a work in anywhere. It can be sitting right here with us here now. It can be in your car, it can be in your bedroom, I like to get out in the garden and put my feet on the earth. So it's quite grounding as well. It is also, working in gives you an opportunity to really feel what's taking place. It gives you an opportunity to have more of a relationship with yourself and what's going on, because when we're doing everything, we might feel sick, or, we might eat something and we might belch, or we might have diarrhea. That's kind of the symptom. But working in, because we can have that space to ourselves, we get to know ourselves better. Any questions there, Joe?
I haven't seen any questions yet. Guys, anything? They'll have more at the end, don't worry.
Okay. So, but rather than me carry on and just chat and rant, because that was kind of wrapping it up, why we work in, and always work in before you work out. When at the time of movement is really important. So as I just briefly mentioned, if you're going to do a workout, it's not ideal to do it at night. You want to do it during the day, particularly if you're inflamed and stressed. So working in is, I like to do it on sunrise and sunset. So, it's really beneficial to be up with the sun and look into the sunrise as well as the sunset. So I stand at the top of the property of the sunset and do some chi pushes there. So it just calms your system down before you go to bed. And as I said, you can do it after dinner as well. So it will aid in digestion. It's like when you have a full meal, or you have a big meal and you're full. It's usually, I remember when I was younger, it was after Christmas dinner, we'd go for a family walk. Right? It's like, oh, let's go for a walk, but you wouldn't go for a brisk walk. You'd go for a slow walk to aid in the digestion, right? And to get things moving. Well, that's what we want to do when we're working in. We want to really slow down the body, bring us back into homeostasis to rest, digest, and balance the hormones. So let's do a little bit
There
of
is one question, if that's all right. Is it normal not to have had any symptoms of menopause? I'm 54 years old and already a year and a half without a period.
Awesome.
Lucky you.
Yes, lucky you. And I think, thank you so much for asking that, because I think there is a lot of speculation, particularly for women who may not have reached perimenopause or menopause yet, that they are doomed for symptoms.
Mm.
So the fact that you don't have any symptoms, that's awesome. You must be quite balanced. There's there are many reasons. If you like, it's not kind of the night for that, I guess. There's so much I can talk about that.
Okay,
But
you
the
can
fact
talk
that
about
you
it.
a lot of the time when we have symptoms in menopause, so Jane Hardwick Collins is a lovely, wonderful woman to follow in terms of the seasons and changes we go through. But a lot of the symptoms that we can experience in menopause are, they show up kind of 10 times more so. And when I say they show up, it's kind of like the stuff that we haven't dealt with when we were younger that we may have swept under the carpet. So we might have not felt well, or one thing is like taking the pill as young women kind of masks everything. And so, it disrupts the hormonal cycle. It's not maybe until we get off the pill, or we don't need the pill when we're in menopause, and then all of these symptoms can come flooding in. So it really is a reflection of how you have lived your life up until this point, and what you're doing now to clean up the body, with your stresses. So, and everyone is different. You may not ever get a hot flash, or you might just have some irritability at one point. And then on the other hand, you might be having symptoms but aren't maybe not aware of them. So, the fact that you don't feel any of I think they said there's 77 symptoms now of menopause. But, I think a lot of it comes down to our lifestyle factors and how we're living, what we're eating, what we're putting on our skin, all of those stresses. There's 6 of them. And if we're just thinking stress comes from a psychological point of view, we're missing the others, So awesome that you're not having any symptoms. And you can go through without any symptoms. It's, all of the symptoms that are out there and they're doomed. Yeah, unfortunately, some women do struggle. But yeah, it's all the symptoms aren't experienced by everyone.
And I think for a lot of us, I know for me, it's when I'm stressed that the symptoms pop up, and otherwise I'm fine. Then I'll get hot flashes if I wake up in the night worrying about something, that's when I'll get a hot flash. Otherwise, I'm fine.
Yeah, and it's kind of heightened, I guess, because of that stress response. Because I think, we can have a lot more responsibility and things to take care of when we're in menopause as well. Parents, children, businesses, all the things, and then ourselves as well. And I'm totally the same, Jo, because I feel that like I don't have a hot flash, but yeah, I know if I get hot or warm, when it's not 100% humidity outside,
Yeah.
that it's usually a stressful thought, most definitely.
Yeah.
So most definitely. Yeah. And other things, like in the body, if you haven't pumped the body, you can feel quite stagnant and symptoms can come on too, right? Thank you for asking that question.
And one more here. I have Hashimoto's and I've heard it's not good to over exercise. What do you recommend?
Work in. Thank you. That's why we're here, right? So any disease or illness in the body, because you're already in a stress state, when there is a dis-ease, there is an ease or balance in the body. So working in most definitely. So you can balance that out with food and lifestyle factors. So you can move, like going for a walk or swimming, finding movement that makes you feel good is really beneficial. Now, I know that resistance training and strength training is vital for women, particularly, to prevent osteoporosis, to have muscle tone, for brain health, the whole thing, mental and emotional as well. But if you're already in a stress state, working in is just, and if not more beneficial to you when you're in a less than balanced state. So we're going to do a few so you can have them to implement every single day if you like. There are many ways that you can work in rather. So it might be what I did on the retreat is just walking really slowly. So I'm taking a breath in when I take one step, and I'm going to breathe out when I take another step. And I think that was probably the most confronting for the participants because it was slow. It was really slow. And I had to say, can you move slower? Can you calm it down even more? So it's kind of a real wake-up call. So there's one example. You might want to do 4 steps for one breath. Tai Chi, so some of the movements that I do, I call Tai Chi. So the Tai Chi practice of the Zen master, you don't need to be a Zen master to practice Tai Chi. Tai Chi is really just moving slowly with the breath. It's like a moving meditation. The way I teach Tai Chi, because traditional Tai Chi methods is that you have to memorize a sequence, and you might be watching the teacher, you're like, oh, I didn't get that right, and you've automatically switched into that stress state. And it also switches us into the analytical brain. So when we're breathing predominantly through our right nose, not right nostril, it affects the analytical brain, or it stimulates the analytical brain, the left hemisphere. When we're breathing through the left, it stimulates the right side of the hemisphere of the brain, which is our creative side. And that's where we should shift left to right throughout the day. But most of us, if we're in a stressed state, doing, we'll be breathing predominantly through our right nostril. So Tai Chi, in the way that I do it, is not following any sequence. It's just moving really slowly with the breath. And there's many different movements that we can do. It could be Qigong, if you heard of Qigong. Again, it's very slow practices. And then I move into zone exercises, which can actually be done as a workout, or I can bring them right back down and move the client really slowly with the breath, and they become a work in. And the zones correlate to the energy centers, but also the organs. So, for example, when I do my paperwork, if the adrenal and thyroid are high on the physiological load, I'll do some zones to stimulate or to bring more life force into the kidneys and adrenals, and then into the thyroid. So there are movements specific for those parts of the body, hence why they're called zones. So just moving slowly, even breathing, we're going to do just a couple now, but they can be done anywhere. So just to confirm, when you have any illness or disease, or you're feeling kind of less than or yucky, when I say less than, not having that vitality, always work in. Okay, and don't feel bad about it. It's so beautiful, isn't it? So at the same time that we're calming the nervous system, we're actually cultivating energy. Yeah, so we want to have that. Sometimes, you can feel tingles or heat, and that's just the energy that you're cultivating. Sometimes after doing a work in the morning, it might bring on a really good bowel movement as well. And we all want one of those. Okay, so shall we do a little bit of practical, Jo?
Yes, that'll be great.
Okay, so for the first thing, we want to make sure that our breath is optimal. And sometimes I can spend a whole hour with the client just teaching them how to breathe again. So let's bring our hands on our belly, because we do want to have a breath coming from the diaphragm rather than up here. And when we're in that stress state, if we have sore neck or sore shoulders, we can be breathing up here. So all of these can be tight. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes, bring your hands onto your belly, and I'm giving you permission to relax your belly. Let it become all soft, and even let it hang out. Okay, so as you breathe in, I want you to fill the belly and allow the belly to come into the hands. And then breathing out. We're breathing in and out through the nose. This is really important. If we breathe through the mouth, that's going to shift us into that sympathetic state. And I want you to place the tongue on the roof of the mouth behind the teeth. So as you're breathing in, you're just feeling that belly expand into your hands. And then you just feel the belly just naturally kind of just soften and move away from the hands. Just tune into that for a few more breaths. And as you're doing that, as you're observing the belly expanding into the hands, I want you to observe the mouth. You don't need to open the eyes. You keep the eyes closed. I just want you to feel the moisture in the mouth. If your mouth is dry, just breathe a little bit deeper, breathe a little slower. And as we move through this little task or movement practice, you may find that the mouth gets moist, more moist, and we want that. That is that signal that we are shifting into a parasympathetic state. So now I'd like you to bring your hands just to your ribs. So just to the side, so you can kind of like a cage there. Now, a lot of the time, the people that I see have very limited rib cage movement. So we need to have forward and back movement. We need to have lateral movement, and then we need to actually have height as well when we breathe. So that's all of that pumping. So after the belly expands, I want you to see if you can breathe into your hands on the ribs. So let's close our eyes again. Mouth is closed. Breathing in, allowing the belly to expand, and notice if you can feel the expansion into your hands. It may take a few goes, it's okay. No stress, no worry. So just feel that. And if you don't feel any movement, sometimes it helps just to apply a little pressure. So you can actually push the hands with the ribs. So remember, the belly expands first, and then the ribs. And then as we exhale, the ribs will kind of move in or down, and then the belly relaxes. Good. So just bring our hands now just over here. So I've got my fingers on my collarbone or the clavicle. So the first 2/3 of the breath come from kind of the pubic bone up here to the diaphragm. And then the last phase of the breath comes up here. So if you were to stand in front of the bathroom mirror and watch yourself breathe, I'd recommend that. Notice if it comes up here, and you may not notice tonight much movement, and we're doing it very quickly. So it's easier to lie down on your back and get that belly breath and get into that rhythm. So the last phase of the breath is coming up into the chest. So let's close our eyes again. Do allow yourself to be upright so you're able to take that breath in. So belly expands first, then the ribs. Then feel the breath come up into the chest under your hands, and then big exhalation out through the nose. So think of like a big balloon filling up, or a big container. From the base, belly expands, ribs expand, and it fills up to the top, and then you deflate, exhaling, and you're emptying. We'll just do one more before we add a little movement. So keep your eyes closed. Just bring your hands down to your lap and just notice how you're feeling right now. I know it was very quick, short and sweet, but you may even just felt a little shift. You may even notice that moisture in the mouth shift. You may notice that your heart rate may have come down a little. Maybe your breathing rate did slow down a little. Okay, so now we're going to open our eyes, and we're going to do the breathing, but with some action with the hands. This is one of my favorites. I love doing no, it's working for Joe. Well, good, it's okay. That's good. That's a good response. It's a good stress release as well, that one. So I like doing this one at the beach when I get there as well. So as I mentioned before, it's really nice to get your feet out in the grass or woolen socks when it gets colder, and do it outside in nature, because we know when we're out in nature, that has a really wonderful effect on the nervous system as well. So I want you to take your hands just in front. I'm not up here. I'm relaxing, and I'm just going to relax my fingers in front of my belly. So this time, as we breathe in, the belly expands as the hands draw towards it. And then as you breathe out, you're just going to push your hands away. So there's no tension, okay? It's just really slow. Think of water. Think of that feminine and water-like, soft and flowing. So let's close our eyes. Let's sit up nice and tall, tongue on the roof of the mouth. Mouth is closed. So as we breathe in, we're just going to bring the hands in towards us. It's like we're receiving that energy, cultivating the energy. And then as we exhale, the exhalation is part of the detoxification pathway. So we're pushing out. Sometimes it's nice even to say a mantra. If your mind starts to get busy, I'm breathing in vitality and breathing out sickness or inflammation, if that works for you. Otherwise, just focus on the softness of the hands coming towards the belly, towards your solar plexus as you breathe in. Shoulders are relaxed. And we're trying to slow the breath down. And the breath matches the movement matches the breath. So I like to think as the breath is the music and the movement is the dance. And it's a real slow dance. I want to see if you can slow your breath down even more. When we work in, we should feel quite cool or comfortable temperature. We don't break out in a sweat. If we do, that becomes a workout. So just a couple more here, just really feel into this, which is called a chi push. So keeping your eyes closed. On your next exhalation, just bring your hands down to your lap and just feel, notice any sensations in the body. Just notice how you're feeling. Just connect with yourself. Good, and then slowly open your eyes. So hopefully your mouth is really juicy and you feel quite relaxed. I am going to get you up on your off your bottoms. We're going to come and stand up. Is that okay, Joe? Okay. So I'm going to do something really simple just with the pelvis, which is I find is really great for women as well if you feel that you have a disassociation here. So this one is working all through the pelvic floor, through the hips, the lower back, all of the around the sex organs as well. So what we're doing, so I want you to soften the knees. So this would be one of those zones I was talking about, okay? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe in. Can you see that I'm tilting my pelvis back like Donald Duck? And then as I breathe out, I'm going to tilt under. So if you think of it as a bowl, as I breathe in, I'm going to tilt my pelvis forward this way as if I'm tipping water out. And then as I exhale, I'm bringing the water back under here. But I'm not moving my torso. It's just the pelvis, okay? So close your eyes again, soften your knees. If you have any back pain or anything like that, just always move in a pain-free range of movement. Not here to create any pain because that would create stress. So we'll just do 5 deep breaths. The same belly expanding, ribs expanding, full breath. But now as we inhale, let's go closing the eyes, closing the mouth. We tilt back and then exhale. We're just bringing the pelvis underneath. Breathing in. This one's nice on a Swiss ball. And then exhale. But if you don't have a Swiss ball, you can do it standing up as we are. So try to slow and deepen the breath. Remember, we don't want to get hot. Okay. We'll do one more, and then you can ask some questions and give me feedback which one you might have liked the best. The next one is a breathing squat or a cheese squat. Now, this one I like to do in the morning because it actually really pumps the spinal cord. And if you do have any constipation, it actually can pump into the colon as well. So remember I was saying the pumping, it helps the nutrition move around the body. It helps that vitality, the life force, and it also helps remove waste out of the body. So we come into a comfortable position as if we come, like if we were in the bush camping and there was no bathroom facilities, you want to, in that position. Now, I'm not going to get you to come down that far. Maybe over time, if you did this every morning, you might be able to go down. So if you have sore knees, just only move in a pain-free range of movement. So I want you to think of like a dragon. When a dragon takes a breath, big breath in, it's kind of the wings open, and then exhale, we take the hands down and we breathe out, and we're going to take the time to breathe out and come down. So I can come all the way down, but I wouldn't spend 10 or 20 minutes coming all the way down because then my legs are starting to get a real workout. So I tend to just bring my hands here. They don't have to come up, and then exhale, just doing a little micro bend and letting the hands come down. So as I breathe in, it's like the breath is suspending my wrist. I'm floating up and then breathing out. So I'm going to get you to close your eyes so you don't have to follow me, because I might breathe slower than you and that might cause a stress response in you. So closing the mouth, closing the eyes. So all we're doing when we stand, we breathe in. And then we take the time to come down in the squat with the out breath. So see if you can just slow it down as slow as you can. Not to the point where you run out of breath. Again, mouth is closed, the mouth is moist. Heart rate is at normal beat. If you feel yourself getting warm, slow it down. Breathe deeper. And then when you exhale, stay standing, keep your eyes closed. Just bring your feet underneath your hips, bring your arms down by your side, and just feel in the body and notice if there has been any shift just in that short time, either doing the chi push, the pelvic tilt, or the breathing squat. So just feel in the body, notice what you notice. Good. And then I like to have a little bit of a shake. Yeah, a little bit of a shake, a little guy. always nice to shake it out. All right. And that was a little bit of a taster of working in movements, because I won't say working in exercises. So are there any questions? How did our people feel doing those?
I needed that. I know I did. I had a stressy day and that felt so good. Thank you, Cathy.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a couple of comments earlier. Maria said, oh, she said thank you about the menopause advice. She said she was feeling like the weird one when talking with her friends. Samantha said about the nostril breathing. Is that why there is the nostril technique in yoga?
Yes, exactly. So the Nadi Shodhana, or they do different breathing techniques. So Nadi Shodhana, they actually, which is alternate nostril breathing in English. So they tend to start with the right nostril first, which I do the left first. But yes, they are bringing in the balance. Well, there's kind of energy channels that go up the body as well. So it's very similar. They're balancing out the left and right brain. They just call it different in Sanskrit. But exactly, pranayama is a working in, because it's breathing, it's pumping the body, as long as you can get that full breath. Sometimes one nostril might be blocked, whether that be from a deviated septum, that's what I have, or sinus issues. So when you're doing that, you can just assist by pulling that side, and with practice, it should clear. That's another reason. So it's clearing those blocked channels as well. So yes, pranayama is very amazing. That's where all the breath work, all this breath work craze now is pranayama. It's been around for 5,000 or more years. Yeah.
Miranda says, I love the concept of the work in. I can feel better now to just continue doing my own yoga and join my local boot camp when I'm feeling better.
Yes. And not feel bad about not going to boot camp. Yeah.
Anne says, during those first breathing exercises, she said, wow, this moved me to tears until my two-year-old called for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that obviously had to come out. So thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. It's amazing work. And as I said, you could practice it every day. So you can't go to the gym, well, you can every day, but it's going to be a stress. I don't work out every day because I need to balance it out. So yes, thank you for sharing that.
And why is it that when you are breathing properly, sometimes it does make you emotional? What is that?
So you are opening up pathways that may have, there could be many reasons. So we are opening up the pathways. When we we go into a reptilian brain. So we're stimulating the reptilian brain and our limbic, which is our emotional system as well. So it's pumping that. So it may have that part of the limbic brain, the emotional brain may have been starved of that oxygen, or it may be the blood is moving through the fascia, and this is where the connective tissue where we store our issues. It's like when I do an Eldoa class, I've had clients like face to face just burst into tears. And wow. Where did that come from? And I said, that's good, because it's opening up those pathways. So it's, emotion is good to come out. And I think that's, wow, in such a short amount of time. That's why I love it so much. So that's a good thing. So do more of it. And maybe journal on that,
Yeah.
that would help as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Lindley says, I've gained weight during menopause and have been doing a Pilates class one morning each week. Is this okay, or should I have a break from it?
Is it working for you? That's what I would ask. Pilates, depending on the intensity of the exercise, and it's always good to see how you recover. So if you do any exercise, workout, and you are sore for more than 2 days, then it was too much for you. So reducing the intensity, or doing more work in until you get that vitality, increase your life force, because it's still depleting. So if something's working for you, you love it, it makes you feel good, and it gives you vitality, doesn't just deplete it, then keep doing it.
I think for a lot of women, exercise and weight loss are linked in their minds. And I know that is part of exercise, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's not just about that.
Well, weight loss is 80% of it is in your nutrition.
Mm.
It comes from the diet, abs, what they say, strong abs are made in the kitchen.
That's right. Like
Um,
if you're eating well, if you feel like you're eating well and you're exercising, but you're still gaining weight, there can be a lot of different reasons for that. And I'm sure you've got some good ideas. And I know Elise will be talking about this soon as well.
yeah, so look, I'd be looking at all your stresses. Menopause, yes, can bring on the weight gain through the midsection, but it's usually because of, well, insulin, as which Elise can go into, but also the stresses. I mean, stress makes our pants tight. Right. So if what I was explaining tonight, if we can continue to expend energy, whether that be in movement, if we stay up late, if we're on our devices, which I should have my blue blocking glasses on, all of this stress is going to accumulate in the body. So stress and toxins are stored in our fat. And if we have been starving ourselves or going on diets, then your body has thought it's gone into a famine. So it's like, I don't know when the next meal is coming on. So I'm just going to hold on to my reserves, right, until we have some fuel coming in. So, and there can be, times of the day that you're working out if you are exercising, what type of exercise you're doing, the intensity and the frequency, how many reps and sets and tempo. There's so many variables for how a woman can lose weight. Exercise, you got to move. You have to pump the body. So I'd be working in before I work out. Always work in before you work out. Get your nutrition, your other lifestyle factors on point. Also, a lot of the things, as I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of the lady who had a little bit of an emotion side, and when we aren't dealing with our emotions or relationships, mental and emotional stress, that can be stored as well. I remember wanting to lose inflammation. I was a chunky aerobics instructor. They call it a chunky aerobic syndrome, where just doing so much, high intensity cardio. I was doing strength as well. I group fitness classes, high intensity body attack, aerobics and things, and I was quite chunky. I mean, I wasn't eating what I eat now, very differently, but I was in such a high stress state that I was inflamed. And there's a lot of instructors, and you'll find a lot of instructors, a lot of industry professionals that are working out constantly can retain that weight. And anyone who is being thrashed or bashed in the gym as well. I remember I got one of my clients because I was in a park in Sydney, and I saw a male smashing these women that were all over 50. And it just, it really triggered me, because it's not understanding the hormonal profile or the physiological load on the system. So have to identify what organ systems are under stress. There's so much to it. So to lose, just work in and look at your stresses, emotional stress, your chemical stress, your EMF stress, your psychic stress, physical stress, all of those things. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any more questions? I can't see any more there.
I hope that answers.
Yeah, that was good. I did think of something a second ago. Oh, we do have a couple of men in the program, although they never comment. Hi, men, in case you're watching. Anything different you want to say to them in case they...
Same goes. We're all human. We all have an autonomic nervous system. Okay, we all breathe, we all have life force, whether that is optimal at the moment, if we're feeling full of vitality or we're depleted. So all humans. Sorry, I thought you, I know there's a lot of women, and I predominantly work with women as well, but absolutely, men are the same.
Mm.
If you're stressed, yeah, if a human body is stressed, then we need to manage the stresses before it explodes or evolves into something else.
Yeah. Terry said, thank you. That was great. Thank you so much, she said.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question for Cathy? This is your chance. Don't waste it. No, it's so lovely to be reminded of this, because it's so easy to get up in the morning and just hit the ground running. And I just find it so nice to just get outside bare feet in the sunlight early and do some movement. And some days you feel like doing more than other days. And that's okay. I think also I need to work more on the evening thing, because that's dinner time. And so it's easy to miss that time because you're busy. But after dinner, even if it's already dark, it's still a good idea to go outside and try do a bit of
Yeah, and I think the big thing too is asking yourself, what does my body need? What do I truly need? Like, do I really need to go to the gym and do a workout? Or can I just go outside for 10 minutes today and get my feet in? Like, ask yourself what you need. Because there's a lot of noises and saying, you've got to do this and you've got to do this. I'm telling you, you've got to work in before you work out. But ask yourself, what is it that I need today? And do that.
And not make the decision on guilt and I spent the money on the gym, so I have to go.
Yeah. No guilt, because that's not going to make you feel good either.
No. Kate and Samantha both say thank you. Thank you, Cathy. That was really good.
You're very welcome. If I can just do a little plug, I'm on Instagram, Cathy Carr Coaching. If you want, I might send you the link,
Yeah,
Joe.
if you've got a link, then I can put it in the chat group.
And I'll send you like I've got a little guide just on those tips, how to create calm. Yeah.
Because I could put that in the program downloads. That'd be nice. Anne wanted to know, what would you do the work in before or after breakfast?
Either. You can do it before or after. That's the beauty about working in, is that you can do it on a full stomach. Yeah, because it's going to aid in the digestion. You're not going to expend energy. So when you're eating, you need that energy to digest, right? So working in is going to aid that. So before or after.
Another thing that you've taught me, Cathy, that I found really helpful is when you hop in bed, just lay there and do your breathing exercises in your bed for a little while before you go to sleep. And it really helps you to go to sleep.
Yes, I do it every night.
Good.
Either I bring hands here or I bring my hands on my belly. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to go to sleep.
Especially if you've had one of those days when you need to calm yourself so that you can actually sleep.
Yeah, well, I hope we are all calm after the little short practice we did this evening. Thank you so much for having me on, Joe. It's a pleasure to connect with you and share with your people.
It's great. Thank you, Cathy. We always enjoy it whenever you come on to the program.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to connecting with you soon, and have a beautiful night, everyone, and happy working in. Please send me any questions if anything arises after the call. Thanks, Joe.
And I'll put the link for your Instagram in the chat group, so that if you guys want to go and follow Cathy there, she's got plenty of ideas and tips and reels, and also dance for movement. If you want to do that, she's into that. Give you some good ideas for that. All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice night. Bye, Joe. Bye, everyone.